like started up today and it's like, oh, the audio interface drivers aren't installed. Let me do that real
That you might need for this.
Oops. Yep. Oh well. All right. Well, and hello and welcome around. Oh god damn it. That just went fully out the
Hello, Raggy.
Welcome. Go full Scooby-Doo on it. Hello and welcome to Behind the Locked Doors, a podcast where we fuck around and find out sometimes. I am Scott Paladin. I'm working on a horny werewolf audio drama called It Takes a Wolf.
My name is Sam Stark. I'm working on As in West, the spin-off of Unspeakable Distance.
What's up? I'm Jack. I'm also working on As in West, which is a spin-off of Unspeakable Distance. I feel like we don't both got it every time. I
Yeah.
to say.
Hi, I'm Mike, aka Interiority, and I'm gonna be in As in West, the spin-off of Unspeakable Distance.
There you go.
And also working on my own stuff, but no one cares about that. It's fine.
I care about it. Shut up.
we
I
care
care
so
about it
much.
quite a lot.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. Okay, so as every week, we're going to start with our check-ins on our previous goals. My brain's just totally frazzed today. I'm sorry. I think we're all in one of those modes. So apologies to the audience, except you guys don't have to listen to this, so screw you.
You don't have to be here.
I think I said that I was going to, I'm working on the flashback episode, and I was going to sort of outline my timeline for what I'm covering, and then try to identify parts where I could, what sort of like found media I could use, or in universe media. So I definitely did that first part. I laid a whole big chunk of text in the It Takes a Wolf Den channel, and I've been thinking about that second part, and I haven't really nailed it. I made good progress, I think, total overall, but I don't think I've finished that goal properly.
Well, and to be fair to you, you picked the hard route, right? Like, you were like,
Yeah.
I'm doing it hard mode. I'm doing the more complicated, more difficult option that we've laid out here. So no shade to you for achieving even the partial goal.
Right.
this time.
Yeah, and I'm I have the thing I want to talk about when we get to the actual episode after our update. So we'll go back to that. So Sam, maybe.
I was on a cruise, which also
How was that?
It was good.
Yeah, it was
I'll talk about
vacation.
it. I'll talk about it a little bit in a little bit. But I was on a cruise for the last week that also sort of doubled as a audiobook narrator workshop. And I didn't think I was going to get any work on As in West done, but I think I might have actually casted my AI little bot thing.
Ooh.
Oh, cool.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So that's what I did.
Awesome.
Solid. It took only 1,000 years, but I did drop into the chat the rough draft of the second half of the pilot. I think it's on the short side right now. There might be stuff we want to add. I don't know, but like there's a zero draft like existent, so that's progress as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Something you can build off of is always progress.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
I can't remember what my goal was, but I spent most of the past 2 weeks, one being jealous of Sam on a cruise. That just ate.
Yeah.
It kind of ate me up inside.
Fair enough, yeah.
Like it just all of my mental energy was just spent on that. And then kind of like Sam came back with amazing hair, and I'm just like, I can't be angry with you, dude.
God,
when you look that cool,
Fuck.
Yeah.
like that's just
it is particularly spectacular hair right now.
It's beyond me. I've also had the pleasure of obviously reading kind of like the first part and the second part of the drafts for As in West, and I can confirm like the interplay between the characters is delightful. It is everything that you want to read or hear eventually within it. It is great stuff, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing
The
more
boys.
of it. Actual work that I've done has been minimal. I've done a lot of kind of conceptual kind of like just moving some pieces around in terms of kind of like plotting out and kind of figuring out what the next little arc is going to be. But a lot of the feedback I've been waiting for to come back from people reading it has been postponed in various ways, including kind of illness and people getting too drunk and then being too hungover to have a meeting with me. All of these sorts of wonderful things. And I also kind of like mistakenly let Sam read it, so therefore I'm now crippled with insecurity because I've now been seen and perceived by someone in this group, and I don't know what he really thinks about it. I'm scared. I'm scared inside.
Sam's making a whole face right now, listeners. I wish you could see.
Well, so it sounds like overall we've all made at least some movement,
We did
if
something.
not real progress. Yeah, it's moving, which is great. That's better than some of our. Or there were some days in there or on this podcast where we come in and like nobody had done anything.
I know,
which
we're
is
like,
always...
we sat around. We did fucking absolutely nothing. Well,
Yep.
we were always doing other things is the problem.
Yeah.
Or like other things were happening to us
Mhm.
and preventing us from doing the thing.
Yeah. I was networking at the weekend. I was meeting Magnus Protocol people. I was interacting with
Yeah.
the highest
Shit.
levels of audio drama royalty.
Talk about being jealous. He just drops a picture of him and Anuja Battersby into our chat, and I'm like, "Excuse me, sir."
Okay.
Whatever.
So I did have a thing I wanted to. Oh wait, actually, let's do Sam's update from the cruise because
Yeah, I want to hear about the
Oh.
cruise. Let's go.
yeah.
Oh, okay. So just a quick overview of what it is. My vocal coach, Joe Frumkin, is a very respected, very, very prolific audiobook narrator. But he was also a theater owner, director. He's done everything. And so it also happens that his husband works in travel and works with the celebrity cruise industry, and they like to cruise. They cruise all the time, and so they started doing a yearly cruise where audiobook narrators can come, and they know everybody too. So Joel just invites like the most incredible people on the cruise, and they do workshops and they do panels and stuff. And then the best part about it is that all the narrators get a chance to read in front of these incredible people. So last year I read in front of Steve Wagner from Macmillan, and now I'm doing a Macmillan book. And this year we had Penguin Random House and Scholastic, and
shit.
it was really scary, but it was also really cool because I found out that I was already on Penguin's roster. I had no idea. And then and then
Congrats.
yeah, and then Melanie from Scholastic was talking to me about possible projects in the future, so it's really, really cool. But the highlight
That's
of the
dope.
trip, though, the absolute highlight of the trip was I read a excerpt from a book that I'm going to be narrating in a couple of months, and it's actually written by my very good friend Megan Beals, and she does. If I could just, I'll paint you a picture of what she writes. Okay, you guys ready? She writes Studio Ghibli. Like that's just what she does. It's
Okay.
it's cozy, beautiful, whimsical, but like also really kind of terrifying underneath it all, but in like a beautiful way. So I
sick.
read, yeah. So she's actually publishing this book. She's self-publishing it, but I read it for Jesse Bickford at Blackstone, and when the reading was over, she was like, "Can you send me the manuscript? Because that was amazing, and the idea is so incredible, and I know somebody that might want to publish it. It's not for certain, but like, can we see it?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, you can see it!" So that was definitely the highlight. Was maybe being able to help my friend to get her very, very weird, niche but beautiful book possibly published by and not like one of the big top 5, but like a pretty well known, really well regarded publishing house.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's really cool.
Huge congrats.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also got a really bad sunburn, but
Hell yeah.
what can you do when you have the whitest skin ever? In the
I
whole
think I think we're all feel that pain at least at some point. We've been. I don't see any tanning people on the screen right now. I think we're all sort
I
of.
tan eventually. If I burn first and then I tan, because I am part Japanese, but not enough to protect me from the initial burn. Rough out
Yeah,
here.
I'm of that northern European stock that's like vaguely transparent, and so I.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I need y'all to. I need the metaphorical nose on get whacked in the nose with a newspaper from y'all, because one of the reasons why I didn't make as much progress this last week is that I am struggling not to go back to the episode I just finished and redo it.
No! Whack!
Yeah.
I'm whacking you, Scott.
And it's one of those things where like I keep thinking about it. Like that's one of the reasons. It's like I haven't gone back and actually reread it yet, but I am. I keep thinking about how for audience members who may not be in the know. It's the episode where we get the final sort of confrontation between our two leads, the protagonist and the female lead. Like some of the secrets are unveiled enough for them to like have a big fight, and part of that is a sexy sword fight. Part of that is more of a hand-to-hand affair, and then it sort of culminates with them sort of getting together. And when I wrote it, it didn't turn out how I had it in my head, and I keep thinking about like, should I go back and make it more like what I was planning? And I do not have the willpower sufficient. So like I said, I need y'all's backup here to like tell me this is that I need to like keep going forward, right?
Well, yeah, here's the thing, okay? You can always, on your second pass through this script, like on your edit pass, your large structural edit pass, you can always change it then. Like, in order to maintain your forward momentum now, I would probably, in your shoes, like force myself to not return to that chapter until you've blasted through your rough drafts on the other ones, especially if you're thinking, maybe I need to just like basically rewrite it, like the whole entire thing, because it's functionally holding the place in the script of the thing you wanted to happen there, even if it's not happening exactly the way you thought it was gonna. And as long as that's not gonna, like, I don't know, totally change how the next couple chapters go, which in the case of the flashback episode, it definitely isn't.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, yeah, presumably, yeah.
Then I would say blast ahead first, go back later.
Yeah, and I know that's the correct. I know it, right? Like that's the right way to do it.
Scott's sighing and leaning back in his chair, like, I know you're right, but god damn it.
Well, like, you know, there's that difference between like knowing cognitively like what the correct choice of or answer is, and then also like what you actually want to do. You know, where you're like, right. You know, like I said, I keep thinking about what I would do differently with that. But you're right. I mean, there's no reason why I can't there's already big sections of the script that are just going to get taken apart. Not script in particular, but then also just everything is going to get taken apart. So it would be inefficient to spend a bunch of time rewriting a section that I did already, and then 2 months, 3 months down the line, when I'm writing further things or making additional changes to earlier episodes, that I will suddenly find myself undoing some of that work or redoing it a third time. Well, you are right.
And here's the other thing I'll say: if your brain won't like leave it alone, just make notes on like a separate document or a separate piece of paper about the changes you think you might want to make. And then when you go back and revisit it later, you can look at your notes and be like, do I still like these changes? Do I still want to implement these things? And then you haven't forgotten any of the work you think you're going to do, but you don't have to do it right this minute.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You're right. Does anybody else have any input for me?
The problem,
or is that newspaper whacking enough?
Yeah.
The problem with this particular problem is that we all write differently, and so
that's
I
true.
agree with most of what Jack said, but I also am. I don't remember what it's called. My friend Katrina had a really wonderful word for it, and it's where let's say you're writing and then you stop and you know, eat or go to bed or whatever, and then you come back to it and you've got a little fresher mind. You go back a little bit and you edit into a new bit of writing.
Mm-hmm.
And
sort
it's
of
like it's
getting
like
a run up.
circular, or it's like circular or something or whatever. And that's how I kind of write too. I always go back and like start from a certain place and then continue it. And if I had the problem that you have where I'm constantly thinking about it all the time, I wouldn't be able to like continue. I would have to go back and I would have to revisit, like, why am I thinking about it all the time? If I'm thinking about it, that means I don't like something about it. And if I don't like something in the part that I've already written, I kind of have to go back and change it. Otherwise, the rest of it's just going to be like, you know, I won't be able to get my brain out of where it's stuck. And
Yeah.
I like what Jack said about the maybe putting the notes on a different piece of paper, or and there's always merit to plowing through and just getting the fucking thing done. I just personally am unable to do that. So
Totally valid.
so unfortunately my advice is the exact opposite of what Jack said, which is not helpful at all.
No, it's great.
But I really think though that if it is something that is stuck in your brain and you can't move on, it is beneficial to go back and kind of look at it.
Okay.
And be like, okay, why is it that I'm so hung up on this? That my brain
Why? Yeah.
There is something that I've noticed with myself, which is that with certain things that I already have like stopped myself from going back and doing, sometimes making the notes like sort of like what Jack's saying, or just figuring out what it is that needs to change is sometimes enough that you can sit. Once you've identified, at least for me, mileage may be better for everybody else, but I am reminded that there have been some things in the past while working on this particular project where I was able to go I'll just use an actual plot relevant episode or actual plot thing, which is that in the current version of the first draft of the series, I had a scene where we have our protagonist talking to the general and his right-hand man, like all in a room together. And like 3 episodes later, I kept finding myself thinking about that scene again and again and again. And I was like, oh, this is wrong. The general shouldn't be there. Or if he's there, he needs to be like on a TV screen or something like that so that he's not physically there, which removes the ability for like our protagonist to have just like killed him right then. Like we could have just like the whole thing could have been 1 episode long if that was what we're getting to, right? But the moment that I figured that out, I'm like, okay, I know what the change is going to be when I get to it. I am able to then do to move forward. Once I made that note, sometimes that sort of frees up the process, just identifying what the problem is. So maybe I should be thinking, maybe there's a middle ground there of like, going back, finding out what it is that I'm missing, and then saying, okay, now I can just move forward with the assumptions that I did that. Just like
right as though I do it on your actual edit pass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any input for me, Mike?
I mean, I was going to say kind of like, it is a very shoddy builder who like identifies like a flaw in the ground floor and then continues to build the stories above. I think kind of like sometimes the issue can be kind of fundamental. So I'd say like Sam's not going to go far enough. I'd say what you essentially need to do right now, I think you basically kind of like hit like a change in kind of your understanding of the project. Like,
sure,
take like 6 to 9 months, take a wrecking ball to the whole thing, start again, and you'll feel better for it. Like this is all about the journey, not the destination. Man.
Right,
like,
right.
Let's chuck it in the bin.
Let's take the opportunity, clean slate. Let's go for it. Make this the best you can make it, Scott.
Full pressure. Like
yeah,
Scott.
I know that was going to be
Mike has the most shit-eating grin on his face right now. I just need everyone to know.
So there are times I'm mostly glad this is not a video podcast, but there are times when the audience deserves to see the shit-eating grin. Well, there was a topic that I just now remembered. Like while we were talking about this, I like came into this episode today being like, I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I remembered last time that I had reminded. I was like, somebody remind me to talk about collapsing the waveform, and this actually is I think is a pretty good lead into it. Because the thing I've noticed a lot with myself, especially on this particular project, and I wanted to see if it rung true with y'all. The idea that as you are working on any kind of creative art or anything like that, when you're in the planning stages and there are all these decisions that you haven't made yet, right? So you get to live in a space where both of those things can be true for a long time. Yeah, especially as you were working on something for a really long time. I'll just use my own project. This is all spoilers territory, so sorry folks. But my main protagonist, there's some thematic stuff going on with gender. I knew from moment one the beast was he/him. And then the fool, the outside voice, the outside presentation was always kind of nebulous. In fact, I went very far into episode 1 before I decided to commit to he/him for our protagonist as well, just because I needed to write. So at some point I needed a line where I was like, "Can a boy get a drink?" or something like that. Like I just had to do some version of it. But I was finding myself really reluctant to answer the question of how does this character present to the outside world? Because I liked both versions of it. I liked the version where that character was outwardly feminine or presented female, and then the beast comes out and now is male. That's a really interesting thematic dynamic. I would still love to do a story where that was kind of like that, but at some point I just had to say no. Like I have to make a decision and go this way because I can't. I got to a point where I literally couldn't write anymore without making that decision. But that was a real stumbling block for me. But I only decided that one section of it. So the next one was, is this character cis or trans, as a kind of a real way to put it too. If I'm going to commit to a sort of, expecting that I'm using a trans actor, to sort of expect this to be a central part of that character, or do I, make it two cis men, or make that a thing that you could read into, but not necessarily. And I'm finding myself on that precipice now of like cis or trans, right? I think I've pretty much come down on the side of trans, but because it makes the plot, I think, interesting, and those themes are already there. It's really cool. It was already a thing I was really open to, so this sort of just kind of made that decision for me. But that point where you have to make the decision, you have to make the call. You're like, okay, could this go one way? Could it go the other way? In my head, I always call that collapsing the waveform, for reasons, or for in alluding to the Schrodinger's cat experiment, where you put a cat in a box with a cesium atom, if I remember correctly, that it has a 50% chance of decaying or not. And if it does decay, then it releases poison that kills the cat, whole thing. And until you open the box, you don't know which one of these results has happened. And so until you observe it and actually collapse the waveform, and the cat is either alive or dead, because the cat can't be in a limbo state where it is both. In my head, so when I come to these decisions, I was considering like collapsing the waveform, and I was wondering if this reluctance, if the sort of feeling of like, oh crap, I have to do this now, rang true with y'all as well.
Oh, like 100%. Yeah. Reaching a point where you kind of have to close off some of these fun possibilities that you've been kind of trying to explore, and kind of like trying to weigh up like which one's better or not. That is very much part of the process. And again, like things that it's hard. It can be difficult.
Yeah.
It can cause me to stall sometimes. I've had that.
Oh yeah.
Well, especially if you have like multiple possible avenues that the story could go down, and you're like, these are all good and interesting and could all result in a good story, but you cannot do them all simultaneously. You genuinely do just have to select one and proceed with the one.
Yeah.
And then you do have to sit there and like rack your brain and be like, okay, well, which of these all like equally good ideas is the one I actually want to commit to, because we can't continue forward until we've made that selection.
Yeah. In a weird way, I've also seen the sort of reverse of this idea is something that fan fiction and fan works tends to do. They tend to uncollapse a waveform and take decisions that were made in the original and make like, what if we didn't do it the other way? And they actually like re-expand the possibility space, which is really interesting. But during the actual like art creation process, it's this like kind of whittling down a little bit.
We're all nodding.
So, when
for
people are
listeners, we're just nodding.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, where everybody's nodding. Like Scott, once your podcast is famous and people are writing fan fiction of it, then you get to see all of the other uncollapsed waveforms that exist.
There is no, at least where I am now, there's no higher aspiration at this point than for somebody else to like make fan art and fan fiction and like stuff like that is the highest form of compliment to me. Like at this point, it's like the dream. Like I don't care. I don't care about money or like doing this for a living or anything like at the moment. But like it's up. I just want I just want other people to also enjoy the shit that I've got in my head.
You make other people feral about the Blorbos.
Yeah, that's It's you're just trying to release a mind virus onto the other people where they're like, okay, I want this to entrap you the way that it has entrapped me. It's a thing that, especially on this particular project, when I first started with this, I was it could be all of these different things. It can't be all of those things simultaneously though. So there have been multiple points where it's been like, okay, I have to make this decision now. I have to, this is a thing that I am deciding to say, with this idea. This is a point where, like my point of view, for lack of better, my point of view has to start coming through at some point. And so that's, hopefully that works out. But yeah, that's been, and anyway, this is relevant to what we were talking about earlier, because again, this is part of one of those sections where the flashback episode collapses a lot of waveforms. Not just the main character, whether or not they're trans or cis, but certain things like I'm going to have to go back in and say, like, who is Zev Malkani to the main character, right? Like, is it just a name that we're using? Is it a real person with like that they have a relationship with? Is it maybe just a name that was thrown around? It's like a Kaiser Soze made up person kind of thing. All of these ideas, and now each of one of those things can say a thing in the world, right? I'm currently thinking about this idea of the interplay between a sort of non-toxic masculinity in our the platoon leader character, and then like that would set up Zev Malkani to be an embodiment of the sort of like toxic masculinity. Are those themes better served by that character existing and being a real person that we can like see their behavior? There's also something really cool in that's a name. That's not a person. That's a name. It's a standard that no one can live up to in that way because they can't.
Yeah, a thing we made up collectively.
We all made up this version of a character that is supposed to be all of these things that nobody actually could be because, nobody is this, this is just an identity that people assume. That's actually really cool too. So these are the places where you're like have to just kind of make these decisions and hope whatever one you pick is the better one. Yeah.
Well, and if you are going along thinking, oh, God, maybe that should have gone the other way. Maybe that's the thing that you make the note about. Or if you're Sam, go back and correct right away and be like, yeah, we're not proceeding with this collapsed waveform. We're going to briefly uncollapse, go choose a different path, and try that path instead.
Sometimes you don't know you've made the wrong decision until you've written a certain amount of the wrong path, right? You
start going down far enough down the wrong path, you're like, ooh, the vibes are off.
Yeah, God, that's the most painful thing in the world.
Well, like, you're like, okay, I better now undo all of this work. But like, you wouldn't. Sometimes there's no way to know until you've like done some version of it, and then you have to just go in and take a seam ripper to the threads and like pull it apart. Because the advantage, we've been talking about the sort of pain of collapsing the waveform, but the benefit of it, the thing that the reason why it is, it's the only thing you can do, but also the moment that you can't really properly react to something until it exists, where this is a thing that I think a lot of people get into when they've got like a long running project that lives entirely in their head, and they've got all of the like particular scenes planned out, and they have the character arcs, and they have all these ideas, but they haven't actually written anything. And the truth, again, this is when it's in that uncollapsed state, that sort of superposition of it could be amazing, it could be so great, but I have to actually do it to know if it will be that way or not, if I'm capable of living up to it. But once you've done it, you do get to you get to interact with it as a person absorbing the media as well. The way that you would react to something, even not completely like if you were watching a show or reading somebody else's book or whatever, but you do finally get to see what's actually on the page and go, okay, how does this, I know what I was intending to do. What did I actually do?
What have I wrought?
Yeah. What have I wrought? And, and go, okay, well now based off of what I've actually done, what did I do? What did I make? And can I react to it myself? And sometimes as often as not, you do something and you find yourself going, oh, I did that a lot better than I meant to do. That was even better than I had in my head, or it was a neat idea or something I wasn't planning on. But it is scary when you're like, because when you're making the decision and you're trying to like cut things down, you only see the down. You're only feeling like you're losing possibilities. You forget that there's discovery in the actual process of doing it itself. That. Okay, so enough psychoanalysis of the creative mind. Let us set some goals for the next 2 weeks, or maybe slightly more than 2 weeks. I forget what Sam's schedule is. Anytime you try to get 3 adults who are busy together for a thing anyway, it's all like pushing it's never a problem. Everybody's always like, I got it.
Never mind when it's 4 adults,
right?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, no, I wasn't counting myself for some reason.
Scott, like the rest of you bitches.
I thought that was a comment Scott was making about one of us specifically. It's 3 adults and one of you who I do not consider to be an adult, but I'm not going to tell you.
Child.
I forgot I was a whole ass person there for a minute. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm talking to 3 people right now, so there's 3 people in the conversation.
So there's 3 whole people, yeah.
Okay, so
that makes sense.
We'll set some goals for when we next meet, which will probably be next month or so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm committing to now not reopening that the other episode in terms of like actually rewriting it. Y'all have helped me. I am good. I think I will go back and reread what I've got and maybe try to figure out what it is that's bothering me about it. But
sure,
I am going to force myself to start collapsing this other waveform here. I think like I said, I've made some progress. I haven't figured everything out on the structure of the next episode, but I think before we meet again, I should have some of it written. That's what my goal is, to have some of it written. So there we go.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know how much I'll be able to do since I have an extremely packed end of April.
That's fine.
But I think what I am going to try and get done is, Jack, you and I have to get together, and even though I have a very loose plan of how the episodes are going to go, we do need to get together because I think there was supposed to be a stowaway, I think, on the on the mail ship, and so we need to figure out how that's going to work. And is the second episode going to be about that? Because that was your idea, and so I want you to write that one. So that would work out too. If you're gonna do the second episode, I can do the next episode. But we still need to get to that together. We need to talk about that. And I definitely have time to like put aside an hour or so to like chat with you about it. So that's probably my homework, is chatting with Jack about the exact next steps we're doing right now.
Yeah. Well,
okay,
and
perfect.
if an episode is planned for 2 and you write it and it turns out that it needs to be pushed further in the season, you can always do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess my plan is meet with Sam first and foremost, get our plan for a second episode nailed down, and then if it turns out that I need to write that second episode, I will try and draft that out before we get back together at the beginning of what the hell month? May.
Yeah.
When is it? What is it?
Yeah.
What's happening? Where am I?
What is time?
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that I'm going to be in a position to stop doing the planning and kind of passing out kind of like what the next arc is and actually make a start on writing. But a lot of that is going to basically come down to, will I get the feedback I want in the next couple of weeks? Because I'm in paralysis at the moment. Like, I gave my script to Sam, and like the roasting I got back, just like the absolute kind of like lack of interest. It's just like knocked my confidence down to like a real minimum. So I kind of need something there to boost it back.
Damn it, Sam.
No, I mean, like, just in calling back to what we were talking about before, like it like getting this first arc out of the way was a lot of kind of like making a lot of those, collapsing the waveform decisions and kind of like saying, what is this going to be about thematically? Where is it going to be? What's the tone? Which is the main thing, because I think a lot of people are expecting something a lot more comedic, and I've kind of gone for something a bit more bittersweet and possibly heart-wrenching in there as well. So it's just whether that works, and I kind of need the feedback from people basically to say, yeah, that I can vibe with that. It seems to be going to a place that I want to follow along and see. Because at the moment, yeah, I'm still a little bit unsure. I'm not quite ready to kind of go, okay, this is good foundation. I'm ready to build the next step. I need to be sure before I can do it. So, yeah.
You're getting your foundations. The inspectors
basically,
are like looking at your concrete slab, going, okay, is this something you can build on top of?
Yeah,
gotcha. Okay.
So, if I get into a place where I can actually start writing the next script, then I'll be very happy.
Yeah. All right. Well, in that case, we will we'll catch y'all, and we will catch the audience again May-ish, probably. You'll hear from us at some point. Just watch the feed. All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, y'all know the drills, like website, Patreon, Library of Curse Knowledge, library.horse, all that stuff. And we'll catch you later.